apologize for that technical hitch, but as soon as we excuse me, as soon as we rectify that issue, we will be crossing over to the State House, Nairobi, where President William Ruto and his counterpart are making a joint statement. Moving on, the Media Council of Kenya has unveiled a new press card which feature QR and barcodes that can be scanned using a smartphone to help authenticate the identity of journalists and media practitioners. Speaking in the meeting, the Media Council of Kenya CEO David Omoyo said the council had noted an increase in fraud incidences, thus necessitating a prompt measure to weed out quacks from the industry. He noted that the new generation cards would be the first step to establishing bona fide journalists.
So whether the card is expired, which means it's not a valid, or the Media Council number. So every time.
So anybody working will belong somewhere. There's nobody who will be stopped from doing journalism or producing content. So long as in our card, we know if something happens, we can trace you somewhere. That's why us will be fine. And that's why colleagues, we know also we are getting challenges with this, especially media relation officers who sometimes also use those numbers to get money from their bosses to say, leo unaona wamekuja wengi. So toa kitu mzuri, sio? And we know this.
And before we accredit them, we must first ensure that they are trained on media ethics and the basics of journalism. So we don't just issue a card because ati unasema unafanya media, we just issue like that. If you are not trained, and some of them actually have a background of training in other professions, we say fine, you are an accountant, but you somehow you made.
We will be bringing that report a little bit later. Let's now cross over to State House.
To work together in matters of trade, investment, and development. It is counterproductive for us to continue to have a regime that creates obstacles and hurdles for citizens of our continent to move freely, to trade freely, to move products, goods, services freely across this continent, and therefore our decision, Your Excellency, this morning to abolish visa permanently between our two countries is a welcome momentum for us to build a continent that moves easily, that trades easily, and that does its business without hurdles. Your Excellency, we have also signed a framework agreement for cooperation, which will form the basis for elaborating joint action across various sectors. I look forward to the next joint commission of cooperation to give traction to each of these areas of action. I also look forward to continued and strengthened cooperation at the multilateral level and wish to thank President Afwerki for his gracious support of Kenya, including during our campaign for the United Nations Security Council seat. I have no doubt, Mr. President, that stronger cooperation will go a long way in driving the agenda at the global as well as at the regional level, and to ensure that all dynamics beyond the continent continue to impact positively on the lives of our people. Your Excellency, your decision to reconsider the membership of your country in our regional body, IGAD, will bring fresh impetus, will guarantee new wisdom in managing the affairs that are affecting our region, especially, Your Excellency, in the context of climate change. Greater cooperation, greater synergy, building connections between our region, especially in the Horn of Africa, that bears the brunt of climate change, is necessary now more than ever before. And I look forward, Your Excellency, to working with you as we build on the relationship between our two countries to provide necessary support to our region. Your Excellency, your decision to review relations between your country and Ethiopia in 2018 was a momentous occasion for our region. Your wisdom in making sure that we build a more harmonious region speaks for itself. And I look forward, Your Excellency, to working with you to deal with the challenges we have in the Horn of Africa. And I want to single out your training of Somali soldiers who are helping us pacify Somalia. We have Kenyan troops there, and your support for the Somali government by training their troops helps Kenya in making sure that we deal with the challenge of insecurity, the challenge of terrorism in Somalia, and I look forward to working with you to ensure that we stabilize Somalia, we eliminate terrorism, and we build a much more secure region. I also look forward, Your Excellency, to working with you in resolving the issues in Sudan and South Sudan, and working with our brothers in Ethiopia to build a better region for all our people, and ensuring that we make this region attractive for investment and for trade and for business. Your Excellency, again, on my own behalf and behalf of the people and government of Kenya, I want to thank you, and it is my hope that I will have another opportunity to host you, Mr. President, and my dear brother, His Excellency Isaias Afwerki, to this home, Kenya, again and soon. I know you call this place your home. Kindly convey my warmest regards on behalf of the people of Kenya to our brothers and sisters in the great country of Eritrea. Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. President, I would start by saying again, congratulate you for your presidency, number one. I congratulate you for this initiative you took to visit Asmara and inspire everybody, including myself, to face the challenge. And as the saying goes, don't add anything to a wise person's comments or comment. What you have said, what you have mentioned is a joint statement for Eritrea and Kenya and beyond. So thank you for that again. You are inspiring millions across the region, in Kenya, Eritrea, Somalia, Ethiopia, Sudan, South Sudan, Djibouti, everywhere else, and across the continent. So for that again, I would like to sincerely thank you for this achievement. This is a milestone. This is a serious time where we, as I indicated to you while we were joking, we need to work 48 hours a day if there are 48 hours per day. We'll have to recoup our lost opportunity and work better in a very refined manner so that we can move faster and achieve what we have lost the last 2 decades and maybe more. Once again, I think this joint statement you have made is enough to explain what we are about. One very significant thing this morning, you talked about IGAD, your suggestion that we need to reconsider our membership to IGAD. I readily said, no question about that. We're rejoining or coming back again in IGAD with the idea of revitalizing this regional integration organization so that any meaningful bilateral cooperation between Kenya and Eritrea will have to be seen within the context of the integrated region. We cannot achieve bilateral goals without the broader integrated region that we have dreamt to create decades ago. This is no new invention, it's not reinvention, we are not reinventing anything. This is an obligation. In the name of the peoples of the whole region, we have to assume responsibility and revitalizing IGAD so that we can have a functional, real organization for the region is critical. Without that mechanism, ideals, goodwill will not be productive. We'll have to create an institution that is functional and result-oriented, so that we can say we have changed the face of the region. I don't know where I can stop, but I will have to stop here and say your statement is a joint statement for everybody else. I would like to thank your team, our team, and the invited guests who come to listen to this. We would like to prove to you, to everybody else in the region, that this time is completely different. We're working together, we'll achieve our goals, we'll create the necessary mechanisms for implementing goals, we'll have to mobilize resources so that we can be enabled to do what we need to do as an obligation for the peoples of the whole region. Once again, Mr. President, keep it up. Continue in Kenya and outside Kenya. Kenya is my second home, my first home, your second home is Eritrea, and everywhere else in the country. All the best of wishes for the people of the region, and good luck to Kenya and the people here in this country. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
Your Excellencies, we have members of the local and international media. We are going to take about 3 questions. 3 questions, and kindly, when you ask your question, direct it to either of their Excellencies or both if you want, and say the media house you represent. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellencies. My name is Emmanuel Igunza from BBC Africa. My question is to both of you, Excellencies, regarding particularly Ethiopia. Both of the countries are heavily invested in the peace and security in Ethiopia and also in the region. And part of the agreement that the country had made was for the withdrawal of Eritrean troops in Ethiopia, in Tigray region. Have you discussed this, and how do you think about this in terms of taking forward the peace process?
Sorry, Your Excellencies. We'll take them in succession, please.
I've gotten the... Repeat what I said.
Can you repeat your question again? I think the mic had a challenge at some point.
I just wanted to find out if you had further discussions regarding the peace process in Ethiopia. Part of it was the complete withdrawal of Eritrean troops in Tigray region, and how you see this as taking forward that peace process.
I wish there was a representative from the Ethiopian government here to address this issue, because I have no intention of interfering in this matter, in spite of the disinformation campaign going on, trying to disrupt the process of peace in Ethiopia and trying to create a conflict between Eritrea and Ethiopia, which has been the norm for those who come to promote their agendas in the region. We say enough is enough. Ethiopia will have to enjoy peace. The people in Ethiopia will have to enjoy peace. What happened in Pretoria and Nairobi is a continuation of the aspiration and wish of the peoples in Ethiopia and everywhere in the region. And Eritrea has no agenda, no plan of getting involved in this matter without the permission of the sovereign Ethiopian government. You talk about the withdrawal or no withdrawal, we've said this is nonsense. Don't provoke us to come to a misunderstanding on why are you bothered about Eritrean troops who are there or not there, come out and not come out. Let's assume that the peace process in Ethiopia is going without any obstacles. We would like to see the agreement signed in Pretoria or Nairobi implemented on the ground so that we can secure peace and stability in Ethiopia for the benefit not only of Ethiopians but the whole region.
I think, as the President has told you, that is a matter that is clearly and squarely going on the ground. I think we've made huge progress, tremendous progress, in implementing the peace agreement that was signed both in Pretoria and Nairobi, and all governments, including Kenya, which is a stakeholder in some way, all governments are satisfied with the implementation process of what is going on in Tigray. And therefore, I think it is a major milestone in the region providing a solution for challenges facing our region. The original agreement between Eritrea and Ethiopia was groundbreaking. This is something that was outstanding for many years. The fact that that was concluded peacefully in a progressive manner, and the fact that we are also making huge progress in ensuring that Tigray is safe and secure in accordance with the agreement that was signed is also testimony that the region is taking full charge of issues that affect our region.
One thing probably I may add and say, if you don't want this Pretoria and Nairobi agreement to be implemented, don't make a pretext of Eritrean presence or non-presence. This has nothing to do with the implementation of this arrangement, and don't look for excuse, don't look for pretext. That's not available now. Full stop.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 2 more questions?
Thank you so much, Your Excellencies. I have a question for Isaias Afwerki, His Excellency Isaias Afwerki. Still on Eritrea and Ethiopia.
Louder. We can't hear you.
Okay, cool. My name is Rael Umbor. I'm with the Washington Post here in Nairobi. So, what is Eritrea's response to
we cannot hear you. Can you raise your voice?
Like this? Okay, yeah. Cool. So, what is Eritrea's response to repeated overwhelming documentation of war crimes by Eritrean troops in Tigray? And why did it deny its presence there for 5 months after the troops entered? My second question is, how many Eritrean troops have been killed in Tigray? And my third question to you is, do you have a plan for transition of power or elections in your country? Thank you.
One question at a time. I will answer the first question. And don't take Eritrea as a pretext for problems in Ethiopia or elsewhere in the whole region. First and foremost, I would like to repeat this again and again and say, why is it an excuse for anyone, Washington Post or anybody else, as far as Ethiopia is concerned? This agreement is signed. It will take time to be implemented on the ground, and it's up to the government of Ethiopia to decide on the mechanisms and processes of implementing this arrangement. Don't try to drag us into a situation. But again, this question will have to go to a factory. A factory I call fabricating lies and disinformation, and go ask that factory or the owner of that factory who is talking about human rights abuse, who is talking about so many things happening on the ground. It's a fantasy of those who want to derail any peace process achieving its goal. If you are interested, I say you're wasting your time. Everybody talking about human rights violations here and there, rape, looting. This is a fantasy in the minds of those who are owning this factory I call a factory of fabricating misinformation.
Yes, okay.
I've got it. Hi, thank you. Kara Anna with the Associated Press. I would like to follow up on a couple of my colleagues' questions. How many Eritreans were killed in the conflict in Tigray? And also, what kind of succession plan do you have? Are you indeed president for life? And if so, what happens afterwards? Thank you.
Same question.
It's intoxicating you. These lies and fabrications are keeping your mind set in the wrong direction. I say correct that so that you can ask the right question at the right time.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. We'd now like to invite you for a tree planting exercise. For the rest of the delegation, you'll be guided by the protocol for the luncheon, and the journalists will be guided where you'll take the pictures.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.